In this section of notes, we're going to talk about partitioning a line segment. And all that means is we're just cutting a line into equal pieces. So we take a look at this first example. We are given points A, which is at -1, 2, and B, which is at 7, 14. We want to find the coordinates of point P that partitions A, B in the ratio 1 to 3. So essentially what we're doing, we're trying to figure out what point on this line makes it 1 part to 3 equal parts. The steps for this, what you're first going to do is just plot your points. So we're going to plot -1, 2. I'm going to label that A. And then I'm going to plot 7, 14. And I'm going to plot that B. And then you're going to connect. So the very first step with these problems is you want to plot your points first and connect with a nice straight line. Your second step is this part. You're going to find your change in Y, and then you're going to find your change in X. Just like you would normally with slope. Change in Y, you just kind of count up, and change in X, you'll count over. So I just always start on the left, just a habit. It doesn't really matter what point you start from, but I always start on the left. So I'm going to start at A. And I'm going to count up till I'm in line with B. So if I count up, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. That's my change in Y. I went up 12, so I'm writing a positive 12. Then I do the same to find my change in X, but to find your change in X, you're going to count over or to the right. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's my change in X. Very first step, plot your points and connect them. Then count up or down to find your change in Y. Count right or left to find your change in X. After you do that, your next step is to add your ratio they gave you. So our ratio was 3 to 1. We're going to add those numbers together to get 4. 1 plus 3 is 4. Oh, bumped into a chair. Sorry. That chair out of my way. Once you add that ratio together, you're going to divide your change of Y by that ratio, and you're going to divide your change of X by that ratio. So we'll divide 12 by 4, or divide 8 by 4. And when we do that, 12 divided by 4 is 3. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then your very next step, once you do that, you write down the point we started from. We started from A, which was -1, 2. That's where we started to count from. And then we counted up and over. Okay? You're going to add these values to your X and Y until you get your second point. Okay? You have to be very careful. Your change in X, so we got 2, will be added to all your X values. What you got for your change of Y will be added to the Y values. It's really important. You have to pay attention to that. X gets added to X, Y gets added to Y. So we're going to point, X comes first, and then Y. Okay. And you're just going to keep adding those values until you get your second point. Okay? So -1 plus 2 is 1. 2 plus 3 is 5. Then I'm going to add 2 again, and then I'm going to add 3 again. 1 plus 2 is 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. Again, I'm going to add it. plus 2 is 5. 8 plus 3 is 11. And then one more time. Add 2. Add 3. 5 plus 2 is 7. 11 plus 3 is 14. We can stop. A good way of knowing that you did the first half correctly, you're eventually going to get the second point. If you're not getting the second point, if you just keep adding a ton of numbers, you probably flip-flopped your x and your y, or some simple math. You either plotted your points wrong, counted wrong, divided wrong, something. So that's telling you to go back and check your work if you don't eventually get that second point. And your very, very last step, you're going to take a look at the first number in your ratio. That first number in your ratio, that's how many jumps you're going to make. So you're going to start at this very first point, and you're going to make one jump. And that's one of your answers. 1, 5. Then you're going to go to that second point, which was B, this bottom point right here. And you're going to make one jump from that point. And that's your second answer. And then you're done. It's literally these same exact steps every single time. You're just dealing with different numbers. Because essentially why we're doing all of this, if you were to go and plot these points, if we went and plotted 1, 5, and then went and plotted 3, 8, and then went and plotted 5, 11, we wanted to cut this line up into a ratio of 1 part of that line to 3 equal parts. Well, if we look here, here's 1 equal part of that line, and there's 1, 2, 3 parts left over, just like this ratio, 1 part to 3 parts. And then going in the opposite direction, here's 1 part with 1, 2, 3 parts left over going the other direction. So that's what the directions are asking. That's why we do those steps. Don't necessarily concentrate on the why, concentrate on the how. Just the steps to get the answer. It's the same exact process every single time, just different numbers. So I'm going to take a look at 2 more examples. So we were given the points -2, 4 and 7, -2. We want to find the coordinates of a point P that partitions AB into the ratio 1, 2. So again, first step, plot the points. So we have -2, 4. And then we have 7, -2. And make sure you label as well. Label those points. And connect. That's your very first step. Plot, label the points, connect with a nice straight line. Then your very second step is you want to find the change in Y, and you want to find the change in X. It doesn't matter which point you start from. I always just start from the left. That's just my rule I use. Doesn't matter. So when we find our change in Y, I'm going to start at A, because that's my point on the left. And I'm going to count down so I'm in line with B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My change in Y. Then I'm going to count to the right until I'm in line, until I touch B. And you have to be super careful. We went down 6. Because we went down 6, that has to be negative. So make sure you pay attention to that too. That will mess up your answer if you don't recognize that. So if we go down, that's negative. Okay, if we go up, it's positive. I'm going to count to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we went to the right, so it's positive. If you ever count left, that would be negative. Found our change in Y, found our change in X. So your next step Add that ratio together. 1 plus 2 is 3. So that's what you're going to divide these numbers by. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay. Your next step, always start with the point you counted from. We started from A, so that's what we're going to start with here. And you're going to add these values that we got to those points. Remember, x always has to add up with x. So the 3 goes first, and the 2 goes second. It's a negative 2, so technically we're subtracting. Okay. So, and we're going to keep doing this till we get our second point. So negative 2 plus 3 is 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. And keep adding or subtracting till we get that second point. 1 plus 3 is 4. 2 minus 2 is 0. Keep going. 4 plus 3 is 7. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. And we can stop because we got our second point. Once you get that second point, you're done. Then we need to figure out our point 1 and our point 2. To figure out those points, all you're going to do is start with the one we counted from first. So we're going to start with A. And look at that very first number of your ratio. That very first number is 1, so that's how many jumps you're going to make. So we start at the first point, and we're going to make 1 jump. That's our point 1. Then you're going to start from the second point and make that same jump. Jump 1, and that's our point 2. Done. We have one more example. If you feel like you need to rewatch this one, go ahead, rewind. If you need to pause it, go ahead and pause to finish writing things down or moving on to the next one. So with 3, we're given the points negative 7, negative 4, and 5, negative 2. First step, plot those points. Negative 7, negative 4, and 5, negative 2. This one's A, that one is B, and we are going to connect. Second step, find your change of x and your change of y. Again, I always start from the left. Okay, so I'm going to start from the left. I'm going to start at A and count up till I'm in line with B. So I only went up 2. And I went up, so it's a positive 2. Then I'm going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I counted over to the right 12, so it's a positive 12. Then your next step, add that ratio together. 3 plus 1 is 4. And that's what you're dividing by. Okay. Here, 12 divided by 4 is 3. But for that top one with a change of y, 4 divided by 2 is 0.5 or 1/2. Okay? It's a little different. But the steps are still the same. I know it's a fraction, I know it's a decimal, but the steps are exactly the same. That doesn't change anything. we're still going to start with the point we counted from. In this case, we counted from A. So that's what we're going to start from. Just like all the other problems, we're going to add our x to x. We're going to add our y to y. And we're going to keep doing that till we get our second point. So -7 plus 3 is -4. -4 plus 0.5 is -3.5. Keep going. -4 plus 3 is -1. -3.5 plus 0.5 is -3. Keep going. We haven't gotten that second point yet. -1 plus 3 is 2. -3 plus 0.5 is -2.5. Still haven't gotten that second point yet, so I'm going to keep adding. 2 plus 3 is 5. -2.5 plus 0.5 is -2. We finally got our second point, so we are done. Very, very last step. We need to find our point 1 and our point 2. Again, look at that very first number in that ratio. All the other ones, the first number was 1. This is a little different because our first number is 3. So in this one, we're making 3 jumps. So we're going to start with that first point and go 1, 2, 3. So that's our point 1. And then the point 2, we're going to start at that bottom point and make the same amount of jumps. 3. 1, 2, 3. So that is our point 2. Again, the reason why we made 3 jumps this time is because the first number in our ratio is 3. Now you're done. If you need to rewatch this video, pause if you need to finish writing things down. If not, go ahead, get started on the practice.